All right, everyone. Welcome to another amazing podcast hosted by Cool Roofs. Today we have a very special treat. This is Sarah from RCAT. And one thing that's exciting about RCAT here at Cool Roofs, we are a member of y'all's amazing organization.
Mhm.
We're a huge fan, and we are really pushing as a big component to make sure that we create awareness, not only for our homeowners, but for our technicians, our reps, our sales professionals to assure that they know how to properly educate homeowners about RCAT. So, I mean, first and foremost, what is RCAT? I'll let you give a great explanation.
Awesome. Thank you. So the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas is a nonprofit trade organization made up of roofers and waterproofing professionals, industry leaders, etc. We are celebrating 50 years this year.
Wow.
So that's huge. We have about 1,000 members and we have 5 regional chapters. We have a regional group in North Texas, one here in Central Texas and Austin area, Houston, Lubbock, and out in the Panhandle as well. So collectively, we are 8 organizations that want to educate roofers, give you a space to have education, contacts, networking, and really to be able to not only just grow your business, but your business acumen behind that, including education for your salespeople, your project managers, etc. And so that's our primary goal and mission is to give you the tools you need to be a successful roofing company in the state of Texas. Now, we also have a PAC, which for those of you who don't know, it's a political action campaign. So we do lobby. It's legislative session right now. We're down here actively working. We have a license bill to license and regulate roofing contractors in the state, which I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute, but
Absolutely.
it's a big deal. And so the PAC organization goal is advocacy and government relations on behalf of you, roofing contractors here in the organization, and not just our members, but as a whole.
Mm.
And we also have a really great foundation. Last year we gave away $51,000 in scholarship money.
Wow.
We that also applies to trade schools. So if you are pursuing a trade in the construction related industry, those apply too. So all of you RCAT members out there, now's the time. Get your scholarship application in. But yeah, we do a lot for the roofing community.
That's amazing. And you said y'all advocate a lot for us as contractors here as roofers, but would you say it's a huge advocate as well for homeowners and their protection as well?
Well, I think that's probably the biggest key here, right? Especially if you've moved in from out of state. If you're a Texan and you've been here a long time, you know that there is very little regulation in a lot of areas. And then again, you may not know. But a homeowner has zero protection from the state AG's office, the Texas Department of Insurance, or anything. So it is incumbent upon a homeowner and incredibly imperative that you choose wisely and choose wisely the first time. So our consumer advocacy program specifically, which we're not a consumer organization. I'm not equipped to get involved in a dispute between a homeowner and a roofer. What we want to do though, however, is avoid those horror story calls and scams and the riffraff out there. So if we can educate a homeowner into making the right decision the first time, that goes a long way. And that includes, when hail hits the ground in Texas, it's not even melted and you've got the roofers already out there knocking on doors. So high pressure sales tactics, promises of really good deals, free roofs. Everyone knows that story, right? And so a homeowner in the midst of emotion or having damage into their house is pressured into signing a contract. And what can happen is that contractor can grab your money and never return. I literally just got that call yesterday from someone out in Houston, wrote a $14,000 check to a contractor and they have ghosted her.
Wow.
And so there's nothing I can do to help that person. I can't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney, but I'm not an organization that can help you go resolve that matter. You contact the state AG's office and they're going to tell you it's a civil matter. You need to hire an attorney. That can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So it's imperative that a homeowner really do their homework, research that contractor, make sure they carry insurance, make sure that they've got at least qualifications and skills to do the job that you want, make sure your contract is in writing. There's a whole bullet checklist on our website to help coach consumers to make the right decision. We also do regular consumer blogs, not just in choosing a contractor, but different material types and things like that when you're making a choice in replacing literally the lid on your home.
Yeah. And I first and foremost, your passion's amazing. I can tell that you really love what you do, and just hearing all these horror stories from homeowners. I mean, you just mentioned the one in Houston. Is this a consecutive thing that happens quite a bit, or is this like once in every full moon you get a call from a homeowner? Like, is
Oh,
it?
no, no, no. I have been at RCAT 13 years, and I would tell you there's a good portion of my day, a couple hours a day, dedicated to returning calls or emails that have come in from consumers. And it's the worst thing I can do is tell them there's nothing I can do. Now, if they're an RCAT member or a voluntarily licensed contractor, then we do have a code of ethics committee that reviews complaints and things like that, and your membership and or your license can be revoked, but that doesn't make that homeowner whole.
It doesn't, but that is super cool because I mean, and we'll get to the numbers here in a second, but there has to be a code of accountability. And so one of the questions you were talking about, a bullet point checklist for a homeowner, making sure they have, certificate of insurance, they have, workman's comp, BBB. There's a lot of things that you can ask, but that RCAT license, in the event that something was to happen, they can reach out to you, see that it is a member of RCAT, and there is a code of ethic to hold that accountability. In the event they'll probably lose their license and
Mhm.
whatnot. So that's very important.
It is, and we're not equipped to be the roofing police, and that was never part of my job description. I'm not here to how to tell you how to run your business specifically or how to do things, but yes, a code of ethics is incredibly important, especially in a voluntary licensing program. So to kind of give you a lowdown on this license program, we do legally call it a license in the state of Texas. We have been sued, clear to the Texas State Supreme Court for the right to call it a license. And it is legitimate. I mean, now does the state of Texas administer it? No. But I do everything that the TDLR would do, with the exception of check your child support, because I don't have access to that system.
Wow.
But you go through a full criminal background check. We do credit check. We check the business. Have you started and stopped multiple roofing businesses over the years?
Which is probably common.
Incredibly common. And so then you have to pass an examination, and these are not easy tests. We publish a manual called Managing a Roofing Company in Texas, which covers the business and safety aspect of it. But then the National Roofing Contractors Association, who literally wrote the book on roofing, they helped us develop the test. And so all of the materials to study for the exams come from their publications, and it's not easy. It's not an easy process. And then once you're licensed, you have to go through that again once a year to verify that everything's still legitimate, that you haven't been convicted of a felony or murdering somebody in the last 12 months. And you have to maintain 8 hours of continuing education every month. So if a contractor is going to go to that extent to put themselves on a different level from their competition, I feel really confident in telling a homeowner that, yes, you can trust them, and they're going to be there should a problem arise later, because they've really gone above and beyond what they were expected to do to prove to you that they're worthy of your business.
Yeah, and the test, you're right, it wasn't easy. I actually took the test, and it was a phenomenal test. It was actually a great educational guide just to increase my knowledge within roofing as well. I learned a lot, like even on the commercial sector.
Nice.
I had a spokesman who I took all the, I would call it courses. There's just videos of just learning an immense amount of knowledge. And in doing that, my favorite part of that just shows that it's a commitment towards that contractor taking the next step to not only gain more knowledge, but just to assure accreditation, which just then again really shows the homeowner a sense of protection that, hey, like this guy's passionate about the industry. He's one that stands up with licensing and assuring that he probably knows what he's doing. And of course, like y'all have it for both commercial and
You
residential.
do, or you can do both.
Do both. Yeah. So we did both. And I really like it on the residential side. But I love it on the commercial side too, because as a business owner, you have a commercial property, you have a million things going on. You have an issue, you call somebody out, or maybe one of your maintenance directors or assistant or someone does. If you can ask if they're RCAT, you know that that person has made a commitment because this is your investment, this is your livelihood. And I hear horror stories all the time. I was telling you before we started this podcast, we're doing a commercial property right now in Beaumont, Texas, and it's a sad story, similar to some that you've received, where a fly-by-night roofer guy came. It's 12,000 square foot of roof slope. metal roof, did not install it to TDI specifications, and now the lady's having us completely redo her roof. It's good product, good material, but it just wasn't installed properly.
Yeah, we hear that a lot on the coast, on the coastal areas. I'm not sure about Beaumont specifically, but is it mandated by TWIA,
Mm.
Texas windstorm,
Yep.
and you have to have a windstorm
Engineer.
certificate.
Yep.
So after Harvey in 17, it feels like it's been a long time ago, but it really hasn't. There were a lot of people left after the storm. You know, you have an influx of storm chasers that came in, and I'm not saying we didn't need those people when you have a major disaster
Of
like that.
course.
You know, there's not enough roofers to go around, and but the problem is that you know, even if you came from Amarillo or Lubbock or Midland and came over, you're not up to date on Texas windstorm
Mhm.
inspection. You have no idea what you're doing. You don't know that it requires special nails
Yep.
or more nails, you know, in a shingle roof or metal. You know that stuff rusts, corrodes, falls apart.
Mhm.
So that's a big deal. They enter into these areas and they don't know. They have no idea what they're required or qualified to do. And unfortunately, the home or business owner is left uninsurable,
Yep.
right? You have no choice but to go redo that roof out of your pocket because you can't get insurance without it, that windstorm certificate.
That's exactly what happened here. This very nice lady, she has a physician's practice, and she had the insurance come out. They hired an engineer to make sure because she didn't have her windstorm certificate. So they hired the engineer to come out, and for this particular one, it wasn't fastened properly. So
Right.
the fasteners this contractor chose was or installed was 25 every 25 inches, and on the coast it has to be every 10 inches. And then, of course, they didn't put enough button caps on the actual underlayment as well. So,
Right.
a couple of different things, but then that calls for having to redo the whole entire roof. So, it's definitely something we've seen a lot in Beaumont. And that's why I love doing what's right. We personally work with an engineer. So, the phone call I had prior to this as well, doing a residential home, we have the engineer come out, assure that we're doing it right, and he even just informed me, he's like, hey, I need to see a couple more nails and then we're good. So just following all of those guidelines. And I think that's a big component of RCAT, just instilling that trust. And from your past, one of my first questions you said 12 years you've done this, correct?
It was 13 in January.
13.
Yeah.
Wow. So where does your passion stem from? Like, why did you choose this? And
That's a great question. I actually get that all the time. So I came into RCAT just by happenstance. It was a complete accident. I was asked to come in for a short period of time and help. I come from corporate America, and I came from IT and telecom space software.
cool.
And so I was asked to come in and help operationally step them up kind of into the next generation online registration, you know, e-news, the simplest things, but where we were headed. And here we are 13 years later, and now I'm running this great organization, and I absolutely love it. But I'm going to be honest with you, the first thing that really fascinated me is the political side of this. Right. That's what really juices me, so to speak. And even though we only get to do it every other year, it's a lot of fun. It's very educational. It can also be very, very frustrating. But, you know, over the years that I've been here, I've really seen that while I really like what this organization is doing for these roofing companies and providing you, like I said, all these avenues to be successful, it really is personal to me to see the consumer advocacy side of this, to make homeowners aware. I actually have my own roofing horror story that
Right.
happened years before my contact with RCAT. I had a home out in Cedar Park. We had a tornado. Half of my roof is ripped off. Husband, you know, signs a contract with a door knocker. And while we were on vacation the next week, they replaced our roof. It was wrong. It was the wrong color
Oh, God.
is the deal. And now there was many other things wrong, but we didn't know till we ripped it off. So it's the wrong color. I can't get a hold of these people. I'm calling. I'm emailing. No one's answering the phone. So finally I drove over to their office, and guess what? It was a Super 8 motel over near Anderson Mill Road.
Oh,
And so,
gosh.
right. So, my own story of getting completely scammed. Now, they had taken our insurance check and run, they were long gone, but we had to pay out of our pocket to replace that roof to keep the Homeowners Association from suing us.
Wow.
And then once they ripped off the roof, they realized the decking was wrong. There was a ton of other things that were wrong that we would have never ever known about. So when you've gone through a situation like that and it happens and there's no recourse, there's nothing for consumers to get you help. You are just going to have to fork out the money and do it, or hire a lawyer and hope for the best. But I really, really like, and part of what I'm really passionate about here is helping consumers make better choices and understand there's no licensure or regulation for GCs or roofers in the state of Texas. And it's incredibly important that you first and foremost protect yourself. Now, on the backside of that, we're doing everything we can to make sure that these roofers you do select know everything they need to know,
Yeah.
and or at least have the tools and the means accessible to them to be the best business, and contractors that can be.
Yeah, and saying that it really is just like a go-to place for a homeowner to even have research, find someone local that is abiding by just wanting to do what's right. So my next question is how many, maybe you know this, I always hear so many different numbers, but how many roofers are currently in the state of Texas, and how many are even RCAT licensed?
Did it hail yesterday? I mean,
Plumbers are now roofers, elections. Yeah, it's
exactly.
crazy.
So that's a really hard number. It's not even funny, but it is. That's a really hard number to pin down. So if you look at like Dun and Bradstreet, like if you go pull a Dun and Bradstreet report of roofers or roofing and gutter, whatever, roofing siding in the state of Texas, there's anywhere between 10 and 12,000 registered,
That's
right?
crazy.
Same thing. If you go to the Secretary of State, it's kind of a mixed bag, but I will promise you that hail hits the ground in Austin tonight. There will be 7,000 new roofers tomorrow.
No.
So yeah, that's kind of it's just because there's no barrier to entry, right?
So out of the 12,000, how many do you have a part of RCAT?
So we have about 1,000 members.
Oh.
Of those that are voluntarily licensed, like yourself, we are getting close. We're in the 400s. We're getting close to that 500 number. So it's taken some time. RCAT actually started the certification program back in the 90s. And then about 10 years ago, we decided to rebrand and start and call it a license and started down that avenue legally. And so that was fully implemented in 2017, and we started with 40.
Wow.
And so now like I said, we're up to the 500. And in that time, people retire, businesses close, people merge. That's a big trend right now. There's a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on.
Well, it's interesting as far as like venture capital when it comes to home improvement services, like the number one that they're really focused on is roofing.
Mm-hmm.
Solar that's a whole different industry.
They need a racket too.
That's a racket. They need their own RCAT just for solar.
They have one, but they're not as organized, and they haven't been around as long. It's not, you know what I mean? They haven't had 50 years worth of traction. So don't want to disrespect those groups, but they do. And there is a bill down here. There's actually two bills right now at the Capitol. We're supporting both of them.
Yeah, my brother was telling me about that.
Yes, one is pertaining specifically to roofing products. So GAF solar shingles, Tesla solar shingles. That's a whole different install process than to mount solar panels to a roof. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to change some of that legislation there so that photobolic, is that the right word, material can be put down without jumping through some of the other hoops that solar will, because all the electrical is all hooked up after the fact, right? Not during process. And the other one is, which I think is a great bill, they want to license all solar door knockers. Well, while I totally support that, I'm like, well, Ms. Zaffarini, you got to license all door knockers.
All door knockers, sure.
Right? Anybody who sells anything door to door, whether it's extermination service or anything. And then there are communities that make you get a permit. It's really interesting how much you pay attention to how many door knockers knock on your door at home when you're in the roofing industry. But it happens a lot. So pay attention to those bills. It's a big deal. And if we're able to license all door knockers, that's just one more step towards us getting some form of regulation for the industry.
So what do you think that would look like to be a licensed door knocker? Something, just another course, or?
I would, that's a great question. I really put a lot of thought to that. So obviously it's going to require you having a valid ID, doing a background check, make sure that you're not, a convicted rapist or child sex offender isn't knocking on your doors. I would assume it's something like that. And then yes, some base level, minimal etiquette and training like that would be implemented, and it's a fee. But that's going to mean that you have to license every single one of your employees and keep that up to date. I know there's a high turnover in roofing sales, a lot of 1099 only contractors. Can you imagine what that's going to look like? Wouldn't it be a lot easier for you to license your business and be the responsible party for ensuring that everyone below you acts appropriately? And if they don't, you could lose your state license, right?
I would love that. And one thing we did talk about this before, just for homeowners who are watching this for for educational purposes, we took the NASCLA, and the NASCLA is a multi-state general contracting test. It basically makes you reciprocal for other states once you pass it.
Right.
It was a 28 book test. It was open book, but 28 books. And one of our employees took it and he was able to pass it. He's actually a partner on the company because he has to have that in order to be able for us to grow. It's one of the speculations. And so he took it, we worked together, and then now when we go to different states, like for New Mexico, not only did we have the GC license passed through NASCLA, then we had to take a business law exam. Then you have to work with CSC to set everything up. And then you have to, like for Tennessee, we had to do a specific financial report just put in for their qualifications. And it's crazy, but it just shows you that other states do take this very serious in order to protect their homeowners. And here in Texas, I mean, I don't know if we said this at the beginning. I mean, it's like, do you have a pulse? Do you have an ID? Do you have an LLC? I mean, I don't even know
You
what it
don't even have
takes.
to. Huh?
Yeah, you just go
Throw
out there, zero regulation.
throw a ladder in the back of your truck and start knocking doors. Print you up some business cards at Kinko's and have a contract that probably isn't even legal in the state.
Chat GPT or
And
something.
yes, and exactly. And now you are a roofing contractor, and that is incredibly dangerous. I mean, just people don't understand the full scope of what the implications are, not only monetarily, but you may not realize you have a problem on that roof for years, and now your house is mold infested, and or you're on the coast, and now suddenly you're not insurable. There's a lot. I really think it's a dangerous, skilled trade that needs some regulation. And facts for anybody listening to this, in case you didn't know it, Texas is the only coastal state in the nation that does not require any type of regulation for roofing contractors. And we are also the only state in the nation that does not require workers' compensation across all trades. Now, I'm not saying I want to cost you any more money as a business owner, but it certainly makes sense if they implemented that statewide. It would become much more cost effective for you to hold it. And that just gives you an extra layer of added security for not only your workers, but if someone falls off of a roof on a residential property and you are not properly insured, now the homeowner is on the hook for yet another insurance claim or death. Hopefully not, but it happens.
Yeah, and you need to elaborate on that, like, and I'll help you there. So basically, in the event I'm a homeowner, someone comes through, they represent themselves well, they're not insured, they're not licensed, they hire a crew or whatever however, they have someone come out, do the roof. That individual falls off the roof. Say in the event I was lying as the contractor or the contractor does not have insurance, that now the individual who fell, that's another case falling on the homeowner.
Absolutely. And that's like worst case, that's a
Yeah.
human being. But, somebody kicks off a bundle of shingles through the windshield of your Lexus. And that's minor, but there's all kinds of property damage that can be caused, permanent ruination of pools, landscaping. I've heard horror stories where someone knocked over a chimney completely through someone's roof. If that contractor isn't insured, guess what, Mr. Homeowner? You've got another insurance claim and you're now on the hook for that as well. So homeowners don't know this.
Yeah.
They really don't.
And it's important that they do. And I mean, look, you grow fast and things happen. I mean, I'm very transparent and this is a known thing to all of our guys. I mean, we did 743 projects last year.
Wow.
And one of our projects, we were doing a metal roof install in Houston, Texas. It was 0% chance of rain on the radar and it came out of nowhere. We had our safety tarps. We went to ground and tried to get in, but still water got in the house. And through that process, because we have insurance, we were able to assure that homeowner, hey, everything's going to be handled A to Z. We moved them into an Airbnb because they had dogs. We worked with ServPro, remodeled the house, took care of everything. And although that it happens, but just to know that we were put in the position to properly have all of our ducks in a row to take care of it when it happens, because we're in business and things do happen, but it's how you show up and take care of it. And so, as I was talking to the homeowner, I still talk to him today. Great guy. It was just a fluke situation. But I always think, and we even talked about this, in the event that that person was not insured and that was to happen, they could have just left. And that individual would have just been holding the bag for everything.
And more times than not, that's exactly what
Yeah.
happens, right? The contractor doesn't have the appropriate insurance, and no, the homeowner, that's why you have insurance. Go file it on yours. And even if they do sue the contractor, they may get a judgment. They're never going to collect their money. That contractor's just up and doing business under another name somewhere else. So it's a big problem. And last week we were in Austin for roofing day. I actually, got to meet with your brother
Yeah.
in senator's office. But out of the first question I ask when I do these rounds of meetings is, did you know that roofing is not licensed in Texas? And the mass majority of them will say, no, I had no idea. Well, I saw you 2 years ago and I told you then, but I'm going to remind you again now, and why this is so important. There's just so many people without any awareness that don't really understand why we need the regulation. And we have a lot of opposition down there. They will show up and they will fight this. A lot of it is minority groups that don't want to spend $150 or $200 a year on a license fee and go through all the checks. It's prohibitive. I saw a big this morning in the Dallas news, Dave Lever up there, Watchdog, and Dave's a big fan of this legislation. An article came out this morning about this specifically, and what it's going to take to get this push to get it regulated and make people truly understand that this is a dangerous and skilled trade, and it's really important how much higher do our insurance premiums need to go. I mean, how long is it until wind and hail is a separate policy?
Yeah.
So we really need to spread the awareness, and I appreciate any in your audience helping us do that. You can do that we have a petition online at saferoofsovertexas.com. Please, you can submit your horror stories too. I hear a lot of them, but the more of them we collect and share with the legislators and the lawmakers down there at the Capitol, the better our case may be. And it's not a case of us trying to keep anyone out of business. At the end of the day, we just want to make you better business people. And yep, it's going to cost you a fee. And yep, you're going to have to go through some hoops. And yep, you're going to have to present insurance, but you should do that anyway.
100%.
Right? I mean, there is no excuse for you not to do that anyway. And I'm not trying to keep someone out of business. You have to have a driver's license to drive a car.
Yep.
Right? I go get my nails done, that tech is licensed. I get my hair done, that tech is licensed.
Did you see it on the
Yeah,
wall?
yeah, and it's hanging on the wall. So it's really sometimes shocking to me to understand why this has been so hard to get put in place. But we definitely need the entire state's help in getting this pushed through.
Now, would you say, with the year being 2025, like, are we closer to making that a reality than we've ever been?
I think so. We met with Governor Abbott a couple of years ago. We had a really small group meeting. He was doing a deal at the Star in Frisco, and we had an opportunity, between meetings to get about an hour of his time and talked with him, the governor, about our issue, right? About our issues and what was going on. And he was very receptive to that. And really what he said is the rate Texas is growing and the rate in which consumers are coming into Texas, and how Texas is incenting businesses to come here. I mean, look at Tesla. I mean, that complex is enormous out here in Austin. But, you have a lot of others. GAF just built their manufacturing plant for their solar shingles in Georgetown. And so a lot of business and influx is coming into Texas. And so Governor Abbott told us that, regulation is imminent. He can't speculate on how long that's going to take, but the rate of growth that we're having, it's eventually going to come. And we never want to see Texas regulated regulated as heavily as like a Florida or a California.
California is crazy.
But we do have a huge coastal bend here. We have 5 climates in the state of Texas. It's a huge state.
It's
and
massive.
and so we just need to spread the word. Every homeowner needs to know this. Every roofing contractor needs to know this. And we need a lot of help to get this regulated. And I think it'll make a big difference. I think it'll cut down on those horror story calls I receive. Not just me, but, everybody at the AG's office and the BBB too. This will help at the end of the day.
And I'm most excited. I mean, this is really cool that we are making this for the homeowners, but I personally want as many roofers to go through RCAT as possible because I think that is a really good gateway to educating homeowners, having the license, showing that through the presentation, expressing, why that is so important. And because the horror stories are endless. I hear them all the time.
Yeah.
And it just drives me crazy. And when I have the opportunity to tell homeowners, like, look, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not mandatory to have a license in the state of Texas to do what we're about to do.
Mhm.
And then we talk about RCAT, why that's so important, and it fascinates them. But it's cool to see like what can we do even more so today? I know you mentioned a little bit about it, but like if I have a huge following of roofers, a lot of motivated homeowners who like the thought of this. You said you can go sign a petition, but is there anything else that they can really do to create that awareness?
Well, the big thing is we've got to get this bill heard before the committee. We've got a House bill. It is not in licensing, and we wanted to do that on purpose because one of our biggest opposition down there, and I'll be nice and not name names today, is on that licensing committee, and he will fight this tooth and nail. I'm pretty sure that's the person who spread the rumor that we're trying to create a undocumented worker program, and that is simply not the case. So we've got to get this on the House floor. We got to get this out of committee and on the House floor. So the biggest thing that everybody can do, yes, go sign the petition, saferoofsovertexas.com. But you can also submit a letter to your legislators. You've got to go submit it to the people you vote for in your district, both a House and a Senate rep. Send them a letter. You can send them an email. You can send it in writing, but let them know how much we really want to see this because really the legislature down there sees us as an industry divided, right? You go down there and it's really 2 groups of people fighting for this. You got RCAT pushing for it. Yes, 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 we need this. And then you have an independent group and the Hispanic contractors group that's saying, no, 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 this is a barrier to entry. It's not right. My grandma's not going to be able to afford her roof. You put in a license and the cost of the roof is going to go up. And I'm like, you did how many roofs last year?
Yeah,
You're going to spread that $250 across all of those roofs. How much since your roof costs went up since, right? And I know that's not the case for everybody, but this is not a huge regulatory fee. So that excuse that it's only going to get more expensive for homeowners and my poor people down the street here, my uninsured people, they're not going to be able to afford that. That's crap. What they can't afford is somebody getting up there and doing a really crappy job and them having to turn around and do it again.
Yeah.
Nobody's grandma needs that.
No,
Right?
and it's I love the passion. It fires me up too because the most expensive roof is the roof you have to do a second time because it wasn't done the right time.
That's right.
And there's so much new technology in our industry now, from class 4 impact shingles to you name it. If you work with a knowledgeable, reputable company, they can really put you in a position by adding value and save money over a period of time. But what I'm getting at, why I even say that, is some people just come in, they're like, I'll waive a deductible, illegal, I'll do this, like so much stuff just to get jobs and then not even do it right. They just want to take the money and run. Even if they did the job, they do it as cheap as they can. They cut corners, multiple layers of felt, not taking it down to the decking, multiple layers of shingles, reusing accessories and components. And there's just so much that goes into it. And it's scary. So when I found out about RCAT, actually, a while back, some guy asked me, he's like, "Are you part of RCAT?" And I honestly didn't know about it. And once I did the research and everything, I was like, this actually motivates me a lot because it is an organization of individuals someone can go to and be heard, and then take that voice and try and create an impact with it to save the next person, because these storms are becoming more prevalent. I don't know why that is. It's like maybe more patterns or whatnot, but we've had very active hailstorms, and we've seen more and more roofing companies. I even have friends of mine who've just seen our growth in roofing go out and start roofing, and they have no idea what they're doing. I see them on commercial roofs, and I'm like, that's crazy. Like,
What are you doing?
what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
do you even know? Like, we have an amazing commercial team, but our guys have been in roofing for 15 years prior to coming to us. So that's a liability in itself. You know, if you don't install that roof to manufacturer specifications and you don't get your, NDL warranty or whatever you're going for, it was done wrong. And there's a lot of stories we can talk about on that. But my excitement about this the most is just getting the education out and standing behind this organization. But my one question too, I mean, I know why you're passionate about this. You have a similar story. I had a similar story with our family back from Hurricane Ike, which was in Beaumont, Texas, working with a roofer. What is the overall story of RCAT though? Like, why is there a specific reason why this came about? Was there a pioneer that had a bad story as well and saw the inconsistency, or?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that specifically, but I will tell you that we still have our founding members. There are still several of them, still active, still here in business, right here in Austin.
50 years, right?
Oh yeah, and
So
so
they've been trying, was that 25 sessions to get a bill passed,
yeah,
or?
and I don't have I could probably go back. I have binders full of minutes, over 50 years. I could probably go back and find the first time they decided to bring it down here, before the legislature. I know Dave Lieber's article this morning said a decade. Oh, it's been a lot longer than a decade. It's been at least, I would say, 30 of those years. But RCAT was originally formed by a group of commercial contractors. We're talking 50 years ago, kettles and hot tar, and things are very, very different. In that commercial space, lots of things have changed. But this was a group of people who came together that really wanted to mastermind together, like what's working for you, what's not working for you, and let's create an association where we can provide some value to members through education, networking together and establishing relationships and helping roofers, become stronger businessmen. And it really grew and took off from there. Like I said, it's our 50th annual conference coming up in September. So it's crazy to imagine that. Then in the 90s, they decided that we need a certification program. And so there's one for commercial and one for residential. And really, it's been over the last 15 years or so that RCAT has really grown its space with the residential roofing community. Originally, like I said, the focus was commercial, but it's the commercial roofers, I find, have a tendency to do it right more often and not really, be the big troublemakers. They're not the ones out there that are overinflating insurance claims to cover somebody's deductible and shingling over another roof and doing all those things. Really, the problems and the fraud and the big things exist in the residential space, and it's the homeowners that are paying the price. And so, that's when we took a really big shift. And then now I would tell you our membership is, well, it's maybe 40, 60 residential. There's a lot of commercial guys who do both. Right. But there's a lot of those founding members that are still part of the organization today, that are still members to this day, still come down to the Capitol, during ledge session, even after being retired. So it's really a community. One of our past presidents, Larry Brown, said, and I loved it, it's a brotherhood, right? It's not a bunch of competitors who don't want to talk to each other and come in here. This is really about a community of like-minded people who really want to be successful. And most of the people who tell me that have been members of RCAT for years and years and years, that, one of the best benefits of joining an association like this, or your local regional chapter or MRCA or NRCA, is the relationships that you gain. Once you can pick up the phone with a lot of our RCAT members, hey, I've got a question, and I know you do specialty tile, but I've got a question I've never heard before, and pick up the phone and they'll answer it and call you and help you and coach you. And that's incredibly valuable. And that's what's kept these members around for so long and so supportive of the organization.
And I love that too, because if you look at it from a business perspective, like the pie is big. There's a lot of opportunity to go around, especially doing it the right way, wanting to build a brand reputation for yourself. And when I first saw this, and I keep going back to the protection of the homeowner. I mean, I don't know about you and viewers, but my house is my number one asset. And so in making a big decision, they always said there's two big components, your foundation and the roof.
Yeah.
And if I'm making that educated decision, I want to assure that I'm checking all those boxes that we talked about at the front end, and knowing that, like, hey, this is licensed, there's a commitment to success. And that excites me too. I mean, for roofers watching this, when you go through this process, because I want a lot of roofers to be a part of this, in doing that, you are joining a brotherhood. You're taking the proper courses and tests to assure that you're uplifting your knowledge, and then you're separating yourself from others. You're putting yourself out there, showing that you do want to excel with excellence. You want to do what's right. And yeah, that truly excites me.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
a good thing. Help us spread the word.
and let me see. I wrote a let's see here. I wrote a couple questions down here. We've kind of gone through all of them.
That's all right. We
Let's
did
see.
this good, right?
So here's the last one.
All right.
I wrote this down as like lightning round. What is the craziest story that you have heard as an issue? Like,
Homeowner horror story.
yeah, I mean, like, and this has nothing to do with RCAT, but like in Memphis, we find a lot of bullets in roofs, which is really funny in our branch there. So we talk about that. But like, what's one of your crazy homeowner stories that you've heard that just kind of like couldn't believe?
Well, I have several, but one specifically, this is a DFW family, having their roof done. They both work and work outside of the home, but they saw on their cameras, something happen, like literally someone fall off the roof and then an ambulance there. And then the neighbors were calling them. And so they contacted the roofing company who completely denied that anything happened at all. And there's literally on camera in front of their house a guy being carted away in an ambulance. And the roofer denied, 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 denied. Oh, he's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And like 20 days later, they get served with a lawsuit by the guy who fell off the roof.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So it like things like that I hear, one, new construction, they were soldering gutters, copper gutters, and, just a smolder in that foam encapsulation in the roof. They lay if everything was fine, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, the house is engulfed in flames. So I kind of got a broad spectrum of the stories and the things that I hear, and none of them are good and none of them are funny.
Definitely not funny.
No, it's scary what goes on out there. And like you said, things happen, accidents happen. They did not mean to set that house on fire, for sure. But, those are
And we
things
don't
that do happen.
we don't carry a crazy insurance policy in the event to go do something wrong, but it's just knowing that you have it in protection to protect the homeowner and everything. That's why you do it. And
Mhm.
it is expensive. Roofing is getting more and more expensive. Products are getting more and more expensive. Insurance deductibles are getting more
Oh
expensive.
my gosh.
So that being said, if you're going to do your roof, might as well do it the right way, get educated properly, and assure that you're working with someone who is committed to greatness. Because, oh my gosh, I mean, you nailed it. There's a hailstorm that happens today, and tomorrow there's 7,000 new roofing companies
Mhm.
that don't even know how to roof. That might have been a food server one day,
I
and
did it
it's
in
a
high
roofing
school.
company. Yeah,
Right? No, I worked for a roofer in high school.
yeah.
I literally had someone tell me that. What more do I need to know? I go hire a crew down the street over here, got somebody to manage the labor. All I got to do is order materials. And they literally think that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and I even had there's a lot of lies in the industry too. Like I had a business that was claiming they'd been around for 15 years. And I'm like, you've been around on SOS for 1 year. Like we can't be saying that. But I guess it's just the show, the movie, whatever gets it sold, because, most people focus on the commitment and the relationship long term. But as you know, a lot of people just focus on the money that can come from this, and they just want to get in, get out quick, and then just head on. We call it the tail light warranty.
Yep. So homeowners, I hope you're listening because this is really the mentality of some of these roofing contractors. And I'm not saying all door knockers are bad. That is not the case at all. Just do your homework.
100%. You definitely do your homework and just research cool roofs,
There you go.
right?
Research
But
cool roofs.
so as we do focus on, like my hat says, making roofing great again, if I'm a roofing contractor and I'm watching this today, what where would I first go to, start the process to become RCAT certified?
Okay, so membership and licensing are two separate things. Licensing is open to any contractor in the state that qualifies. I have to do that to make it legal. I cannot make you be a member of the organization to get licensed. So to get licensed, you have to have been in business, registered with the Secretary of State, or have a DBA a minimum of 2 years. And there's a reason for that. That's because most roofing contractors fail in the first 18 months.
Wow.
That's a true statistic in the state, like it's in the 90th percentile. So you have to have been in business a minimum of 2 years. You have to carry general liability for residential and workers' compensation if you do commercial. You have to pass the exams. They're available online, so you can literally do them at your pace. We have lots of study material. I have hundreds of hours of education in there.
It's amazing.
But there are 3 specific boot camp classes to get you ready to take the test. We'll get you the materials in hand. And so it takes my licensing director 2 to 3 business days to go through all the background checking, insurance checking, credit checking, all of that, verify your sponsors into the program, that kind of thing. And then it's just up to you. I've had a guy that literally needed the license for a job and completed the whole entire process in 6 days.
Yeah.
And then now after that, it's not where it stops. From there, you have to maintain 8 hours of continuing education every year. But once again, I've got hundreds of hours online. Anything you go with GAF, Owens Corning, Certainty, lots of them offer training at any time. Anything that's going to prove your business acumen, I will take as continuing education. It can be a marketing class, a sales class, and it does not have to be provided through RCAT. If you're a member of the local chapter here, and maybe you do know this, but we have the Central Texas chapter. They have a monthly lunch and learn here. You can go to that monthly lunch and learn, and I automatically track your CEUs if you show up.
Wow.
So make it as easy for you as possible to do. And like I said, now we have it completely online. We do offer in-person boot camps and testing sessions. We have one in September here in Austin at Kalahari this year. So any of you Austin roofers who are interested in that, registration is open. I know it's a little while, but we try to make it as cost effective and easy for you to do and to maintain, with actually having as many teeth in it as I can provide without being a state mandated agency.
And I have a question for myself, and this will help people as well. But on my license, it says, of course, my name and then our company. Do a lot of companies have numerous people throughout their organization get a license as well?
Not a lot of them, but some do. I have some that have a residential and a commercial division, so they will license more than one person. I have a lot of times that when it's a direct, like 50-50 partnership, both of the partners will do it, because you just never know. And it just kind of depends on what the company needs. I have one in Waco that's got 4 people licensed. That's because all of those people do something different inside the company. But the majority of them, it's the owner, proprietor of the company that gets licensed and maintains that. It would just, number one, I can't administer licensing everybody that works for you.
No.
I'm not equipped to do
Right.
that. And that's not the intent.
Right. That's interesting. Well, no, this has been amazing. And honestly, out of the multiple podcasts I've done, I love all my sales guys and all of our technicians. Y'all been amazing on the podcast, but I think we can all agree this has been a wealth of knowledge. And before we wrap up, I'll just let you have it. You might not have anything to say, but is there like something real specific you think the homeowner should know or the contractor should know before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So for contractors, being a part of your state organization is going to bring benefit to you. It's not just putting a logo on your website. We provide you with a lot of material. And I mean, now, do people join and just use the logo? Absolutely. And I can't really control that. But to get the best benefit out of your association membership, come to the events, network, meet people, utilize the education, utilize our directory listing, because we spend a lot of money on consumer advocacy and pushing people to that website to choose you as a contractor. And homeowners, all I can tell you is please do your homework. It is spring storm season. Don't call me in 3 months because some guy took your money and ran or didn't do something appropriate. Do your homework. You can call me, you can call my office. We, using your zip code, we can give you a list of licensed contractors in your area. And on our website, there's a whole consumer dedicated page, tips, insurance claim tips, choosing a contractor wisely, the importance of not signing a contract with that guy who's going to promise to waive your deductible, because promise me that's coming out of your pocket one way or the other, or he's committing insurance fraud on your behalf.
Yep.
So do your homework, homeowners. Don't hire the janky roofer.
This has been awesome. Well, I will go ahead and put all the information as well when we do post this onto YouTube for those who want to learn more about RCAT, and especially for contractors. So, with that being said, thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, no,
It's been awesome.
thank you for having me. I'd love to come back and do it again.
We're going to do it again.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.